Welcome to Insidious Inc. Tonight, we're diving into a story that's not just creepy, it's terrifying because it's real. Being home alone is supposed to feel safe, the quiet, the solitude. But what happens when you realize you're not actually alone? 3 stories, 3 people who thought they were safe until they found out they weren't. It started as a normal night, the kind where silence feels comforting, where you can finally breathe, unwind, and enjoy the solitude. She was home alone, curled up on the couch, watching TV. The only sound in the house was the low hum of background noise. Then, she heard it. A creak, soft but deliberate, the kind of sound that doesn't just happen. She froze, muted the TV. Silence. Her eyes flicked toward the hallway. Swallowed in darkness, she told herself it was nothing, just the house settling, maybe the wind. Then her phone buzzed. A text from Mum. "Are you okay? Who's home with you?" Her stomach twisted. She stared at the message, heart thudding against her ribs. Slowly she typed back. "No one. Why?" 3 dots appeared, a pause that stretched too long. Then, "I just checked the security camera. Someone's in the hallway." Her body locked up. A cold, suffocating weight pressed down on her chest. She didn't move, didn't breathe, just listened. Nothing. Then another text. "He just walked past your bedroom door." Her blood turned to ice. She turned her head, just enough to see the hallway out of the corner of her eye. The darkness felt heavier now, stretching past the doorway like a gaping mouth. The air felt thick, unsteady, like something was in it. Her fingers trembled as she typed, "What do I do?" But no response. Seconds crawled by. Her pulse pounded in her ears. Then, footsteps. Soft, slow. Inside the house. She clamped her hand over her mouth, heart slamming against her ribs. Her mum's text finally came through. "Lock yourself in a room. I already called the police." She moved as quietly as she could, slipping off the couch, stepping backward toward her bedroom. The floorboards felt too loud beneath her feet. Another footstep. Closer. She darted inside, locking the door just as something outside shifted, a shadow, right under the gap. Her breath hitched. Then, the knob twisted. Once. Twice. Then stillness. She backed up, pressed against the farthest wall with her heart hammering. The silence dragged on, stretching until it became unbearable. Then sirens. Flashing red and blue lights painted the walls. The doorknob stopped moving. Heavy footsteps pounded down the hall. Then, nothing. By the time the police got inside, the hallway was empty. The front door was still locked. No sign of forced entry, but the security footage didn't lie. A man had been there, watching and waiting. And somehow, he suddenly vanished. Sometimes it's not the noises in the night that get to you, it's the small things, the things that don't feel right. A door slightly opened when you swore you closed it, a sound too soft to be the wind, the feeling that someone, somewhere, is watching. That's when you realize, maybe you were never alone to begin with. She was 15 when it happened. Home alone for the weekend, her parents out of town. It wasn't the first time, and she wasn't scared. Not at first. The night started normally. Movies, snacks, scrolling through her phone. The warm glow of the TV flickered across the dark living room as she curled up under a blanket, aimlessly flipping through channels. Outside, the wind howled against the house, rattling the windows ever so slightly. Hours passed. Midnight crept in. The house was quiet. Too quiet. Then she heard it. A sound from upstairs. A soft thud. She froze, the remote slipping from her fingers. Her eyes darted to the ceiling, listening. Maybe something fell. The house was old. It creaked sometimes, probably nothing. Then another sound. A slow, deliberate shuffle. Her stomach tightened. That wasn't the house settling. With her heart pounding, she grabbed her phone and quickly typed a message to her mum. "I think someone's upstairs." The typing bubbles appeared, then vanished. She swallowed hard, forcing herself to breathe. Maybe she was overreacting, or maybe... Then another noise. A click, like a door unlocking. Her breath hitched. She sat, motionless, every instinct screaming at her to run, but she had to know. She had to see. Slowly she stood. Each step toward the staircase felt heavier than the last. The wooden floor creaked beneath her as she reached the bottom of the stairs. She leaned forward, peering up into the darkness. Silence. Her grip on the phone tightened. She told herself she was being paranoid. That's when it buzzed. A message from her mum. "Call 911 now." Her pulse spiked. She didn't ask why, didn't hesitate. She turned. Then, the footsteps. Heavy, coming down the stairs. She ran. She didn't stop to look, didn't care if she left the door open. She bolted outside, sprinting barefoot across the driveway, the cold pavement burning her feet. Her breath came in ragged gasps as she reached the neighbor's house, pounding on their door with trembling hands. The police arrived minutes later. They searched the house, checked every room and every closet. But nothing. No forced entry. No signs of anyone inside. She felt crazy until an officer called her over. He led her to the hallway closet. The door was slightly open, and inside was a sleeping bag, empty food wrappers, a half-drunk water bottle, and something else. A knife. Lying on top of her sweatshirt, the one she had worn the day before, her stomach twisted. Someone had been inside, watching her and waiting for her. And the worst part? The attic hatch was open. They found footprints in the dust. Whoever he was, he had been living there, and he wasn't planning to leave. Sometimes the scariest things don't happen in the dead of night. They happen in broad daylight, when you least expect them, when your guard is down, and by the time you realize what's happening, it's already too late. It started as just another quiet night. She was 17, home alone while her parents were out late. She liked having the house to herself. The quiet was familiar, comforting. Wrapped in a blanket, she curled up on the couch, flipping through channels. Some random movie played, its soft glow flickering against the walls. Everything felt normal, until her phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen, a text from her neighbor across the street. "Are you expecting someone?" Her brows furrowed. She typed back quickly. "No, why?" Then came another message. "There's a man at your window." Her body went cold. She couldn't move and her breath ceased. Slowly, her eyes flickered toward the window beside her. The curtains were drawn, blocking her view. Maybe it was a mistake, a shadow, a trick of the light. Then, tap, tap, tap. A sharp, deliberate knocking against the glass. Her breath caught in her throat. Her fingers trembled as she typed. "What does he look like?" Another message popped up instantly. "He's just standing there, not moving." The chill crawled up her spine. She felt it now, the presence, the weight of unseen eyes on her. Heart pounding, she slid off the couch, keeping low, moving toward the hallway closet. Her dad kept a baseball bat there. If she could just grab it. Then, her phone buzzed again. He's walking around back. Panic surged as she thought about the back door. Had she locked it? She sprinted to the kitchen, socks sliding against the hardwood floor, reached for the door handle, tugged, but it was locked. Relief hit her until the handle twisted. Her body locked up. Someone was trying to get in. She dropped to the floor, pressing her back against the cabinets, forcing herself to stay out of sight. With her hands shaking, she dialed 911. The operator's voice was calm. Hers was barely a whisper. "There's a man trying to get into my house." Then, bang! Something slammed against the door, hard. She clapped her hand over her mouth, biting back a scream. Another bang. Tears blurred her vision as she gripped the phone tighter. "Stay quiet," the dispatcher said. "Officers are on their way." Then there was silence. No more banging, no footsteps, just the distant sound of sirens. She stayed curled on the kitchen floor, with her heart pounding until red and blue lights flashed through the windows. The police searched, but he was gone. But the evidence was there. Mud-streaked footprints on the porch, deep scratches on the back door. And near the window where he had stood was a knife left in the grass. He wasn't just watching, he was waiting. And she would have been his next victim. Being home alone is supposed to feel safe and your comfort zone, a place where nothing can touch you. But sometimes when you think you're alone, but realize you're not. Stay safe, lock your doors, and check the closet before you go to bed, because you never know who or what might be watching.